post-stroke. So, and the way that it does that is it looks at movement in, combining, and out of synergy. It also looks at grasp and a function, and it also looks at coordination, as well as reflex activity, okay? So those are the things that, the constructs that it's measuring, all right? So if we think about the kind of Brunstrom staging of stroke, and we think about that kind of typical recovery that we see post-cortical stroke at least, right? What do we see first from a motor perspective? Flaccidity, okay? So, and not everybody fits this description, but the majority of patients, you'll see flaccidity first, okay? So in that case, you see no movement, right? It's just kind of hanging, the arms kind of hanging out there. What do we see next? Spasticity, or movement in synergistic patterns, or both, okay? And that is, she's so good at this, that's why. Okay, that's why we're looking here at, can the person move within a synergy? Is the synergistic activation helping them to be able to move? What's the next step, hopefully? Moving out of synergy, right? Or fractionated movement again. The muscle tone may or may not be normal at that point. They may still have spasticity, but they're able to move out of the synergistic activation. There are very specific instructions on how the Fugl-Meyer is supposed to be administered, okay? And this is one of the reasons why it takes so long. So I'm going to tell you that the Fugl, so this is her affected arm. We're going to pretend I'm switching arms because you're closer to me.
Really challenging.
I know. It's too early for this. Okay. So the procedure is that you're supposed to have the person do the movement on their unaffected side. So the first movement that we're going to do, just for now, is this.
So picky.
I know. That movement, okay? I'm gonna have her do that 3 times. So you're starting here actually. Here to here, here to here, and 3. Okay, right. Okay, that's the unaffected side. The next thing that I'm supposed to do is check the passive range of motion within that movement on the affected side. Okay. Then I'm going to have her actively try to perform that movement 3 times. Yes, I said 3 times. So go for it. Excellent. And if she can't get into the starting position, I can put her in the starting position. Good. Try it again. One more time. Okay, excellent job. Now, that is the procedure for every single item. That's why it takes so long, okay?
3 times.
3 times and 3 times. We are scoring the highest performance. This is different than probably any other test that we're going to tell you about, because most tests we are saying to you guys what? Score the lowest, because we're trying to capture deficit. This test is looking at motor recovery, so we want to capture the highest, okay? I'm going to tell you that I'm okay if you don't do 3 trials of each, okay? Okay with that, because it takes a very, very long time. But do understand that's the procedure. What I'm not okay with is if you don't do it on the good side first, okay? Or check the passive range of motion. So you need to do that procedure every time. Today, for the purposes of being speedy, I'm not going to do the passive range of motion, and I'm not going to do that for every single item, because I just want to go through it so that you guys can practice. Does that make sense? Okay. Write that down in your notes, because on the practical, you need to do the passive range of motion on the affected, and you need to do a trial, at least 1 trial, on the unaffected. Yes, Mike?
Is there a point where, like, if they passively can't get it, just, on the active, or do you always try the active?
You always try the active, yeah. I mean, chances are, if she starts here, there's going to be some sort of passive movement that I can get her to. She might be tight, like she was a little tight, but she's probably not going to be stuck here. So, all right, so that was just an overview. Yes? Yes. Correct. And they're supposed to do it 3 times, yes. Yes. Yes.
So you're saying for the practical, like for time purposes, you only want us to do it once?
Once is fine.
Can we practice doing it like the 3 times and you just move us on, or you won't move, you don't do that?
We don't typically move you guys on because we're the patients, so we wouldn't know to move you on because we're clueless patients.
Okay.
I don't mean that in a bad way, but we typically don't move you on. So that's why I'm saying for the practical, it's okay for you guys not to.
Yeah,
to
you
do
guys
the
are
trials.
managing your own time during the practical because we're the patients.
I would even say, I might be going out on a limb here, but clinically, if I were to use this test, I probably wouldn't have time to do 3 trials unless I was doing a research study. Then I would follow that protocol. Clinically, I would only do it once, maybe twice, to make sure that that I know what I'm seeing. But from a research perspective, you'd have to do it 3. Yeah.
3 sets or 3 reps? Like 3 or
3.
Like 3 threes?
No, 3 reps.
Oh.
So you're doing 1, 2, 3, and then passive range of motion on this side, and then 1, 2, 3 active.
Right. But you only want us to do 1.
Well, you can do 3 if you want, but that's gonna take a long time, so. Okay, so that was the overview. Now let's go through kind of item by item. The items are scored mostly on a 3-point Likert scale, 0, 1, or 2. A couple of them are only dichotomous, okay? Each number, or each Likert scale number, has its own criteria, and some of them are very different. So you need to be able, kind of be familiar with that and understand that. The first activity, or the first item, number 1, is reflex activity. All you're doing here is straight DTRs. Okay, I don't have my boop, and boop, okay. And seeing what kind of activity that you have. This is one of the dichotomous items. You're looking at no reflex activity or reflex activity. Okay, you're not looking at quality. Later we're going to look at quality if the person qualifies for us to look at quality. All we're looking for is that do they have a reflex or do they not? Okay. Someone who's in a very flaccid stage may not have a reflex at all. Someone who's progressing through the stages and has more synergistic activation may have hyperactive reflexes. You don't care about that right now. You only care, did you elicit a reflex? Okay. The next 2 items. The next 2 items are looking at movement within synergy. Okay, and the first movement you're going to look at is flexor synergy. Okay, so the starting position for this is the opposite. This is her affected side. Okay, so the opposite side. So she's going. Okay, she's going to start with her hand on her knee, and she's going to move into this position. So I checked the passive range, and now I'm going to watch her complete the movement. So you're going to go ahead and do that. Okay. Now she's going to do that for us a couple of times, and we're going to look at the scoring for this. If you look at your scoring sheet, you'll see that the find my spot. So sorry, I should have stapled. Here we go. Okay, so the flexor synergy, number 2 on the scoring sheet, shows you each movement that we're going to score. We're going to score each of those movements on this 0, 1, and 2 scale. So the 0 cannot be performed, 1 is performed partly, and 2 is performed faultlessly. Okay? 0 means cannot perform, can't move from here at all. Faultlessly is this. So anywhere in between that is going to be a 1, okay? But you are not looking at everything together. You're looking at each separate movement or area, that joint here, or movement. It's more of a movement. So, can you just keep doing that a few times? Okay. So you're looking at elevation. This is of the shoulder. Do we have elevation, people? Do we have elevation, people?
The shoulder or the arm? Yeah.
Of the shoulder.
I think that's this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're looking for this.
We got some substitution, but we don't have elevation of the shoulder, right? So that would be a 0. How about shoulder retraction? Now for this, you have to kind of be looking back. I'm not sure that it's faultless, but we've got it, so we might just, I would put that a 1, yep. How about abduction? Zero, yep, I don't see any abduction there. Now, this is where your observational analysis comes in handy, because you guys think you see elevation, but you're not seeing elevation of the arm, right? You're seeing actual
So what would be?
Shoulder flexion.
Yes.
Okay, so like lifting the arm
Yes.
up.
You're lifting the arm up. Yep.
I'm not getting this.
Right.
I'm not getting the lift.
Because you don't. This is not normal movement, right? We're looking at normal motor recovery, normal
I
movement.
think there's a shoulder elevation, like shoulder shrug.
No,
As
that's not what
opposed
you're
to
looking
shoulder.
for. No, you're looking for this.
Like, am I flexing my shoulder?
Yeah.
Am I getting shoulder
That's
flexion?
Because remember, guys, that
Yeah.
she's coming from here, and what did she do? She did this. So there really isn't any elevation there, right? I mean, if you saw a little bit, you could score her a 1. That's fine. From this angle, I see nothing. Yes.
On like that movement, what would be the difference between like if she can elevate but she can't have that movement?
So we could say we could talk about elevation as being up, but abduction is this
Out.
because she's supposed to be like at 90 degrees of
This
abduction.
is my position.
Is faultless.
So if I'm doing
right?
this,
Right.
you see the difference?
So if you guys think that you see a little elevation, you can score a 1. Okay, and again, this is the scale is what it is. You're using your observational skills. Does that make sense? Okay, external rotation. You're doing awesome.
Okay.
Keep hitting yourself in the head. Keep hitting yourself in the head. You see any external rotation? No. Okay, elbow flexion.
Yes.
What do you score it?
Flawless.
2.
I mean,
That's pretty much full flexion.
So remember when I moved her into passive? No, she's a 1. Okay. So remember, faultless is completely normal movement, the same as the other side looked. Show me the other side again. You're actually supposed to be back here. But
Oh, my bad. It's not quite a salute. Is the salute off to the side over here? Yeah.
it's supposed to look like the other side. That would be her faultless. Faultless is, well, this is hoping that the person doesn't have bilateral effects, but faultless should be the other side, should be the unaffected side, okay? I don't want to throw that in there on you, but there are bilateral effects of stroke, so but we won't go there. All right, and then forearm supination. She doesn't have much, right? And again, if you guys are unsure, you can watch her other side again. You can move her passively to see how much range that she has. Okay, that's okay. Even in the practical, I would rather see you guys do that than make a guess. All right, go ahead and if you have to watch it more than once, go for it. Okay, it's fine. Because once, sometimes you can't get it. Okay, so what you're doing then, if you look at the score sheet, this is out of 12 because you have 6 movements, right? So the top score you can get for that item would be 12. So you're scoring each one of them individually and then adding that score together. Everybody good? Okay. So the next one is extension synergy. And remember, you guys can see what that's, I mean, that is the flexion synergy that we've taught you guys, right? Basically. That's the synergy that we see people hanging out like this at, okay? When they're not necessarily stuck, but when you see movement, that's the movement that sometimes persists. So that's what you're looking for. The next one is you're looking at hand kind of to the side, and you're asking the person then to reach out toward their opposite knee. So the starting position for flexor synergy is the ending position for this one, okay? So hand here, and they're supposed to be going here, okay? So for this one, you're looking at, can you go ahead and do that a couple of times? Good. You're looking at shoulder adduction and internal rotation, elbow extension, and forearm pronation. Okay, so let's watch her do it. So does she have shoulder adduction and internal rotation?
Can we see the other
Yeah,
side?
see the other side, so sorry.
Okay, now that's a difference.
So is that faultless? Is she moving faultlessly on this side compared to the other side?
She's compensating.
No. But does she move some?
Yeah.
Yeah. She got some movement there, so I give her a 1. How about elbow extension?
She's
1.
She's going from flexion to extension, it's just not full extension like we saw on the other side. So yeah, I give her a
Other
1.
side.
There you go.
She's like, doing the Fugl Meyer dance. Okay, and then forearm pronation.
Not full.
she gets the half.
Show us the other side.
Yeah. One.
Okay, yeah. Don't freak out if you're one level off. If you call it faultless and I call it whatever the other one is, partly, okay, that's okay. But if you say did not perform and I say faultless, that's a bigger deal, okay?